Andy Reid has been a coach in the NFL since the 90s and has built up quite the career for himself. Unfortunately, he's recently been on the news for something else completely. His son, Britt Reid, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for a DWI, which caused head trauma to a child. The NFL world is reeling from the announcement. We'll be covering that and more in today's video. First up, let's talk about Britt Reid's crime. Britt Reid's the son of Andy Reid, who served as the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL since 2013. Britt himself had joined on as an assistant coach back then as well. With two members of their family on the coaching staff of a prominent team in the NFL, it seemed like things were never better for the Reids. Unfortunately, all that has come tumbling down because of an accident that took place in February of last year. It was reported that Britt was driving while intoxicated on a highway. He was going around 20 miles per hour over the speed limit of 65 when he collided with two vehicles that were stopped on the side of the highway. The crash severely injured a girl named Ariel Young, who was only 5 years old at the time, and also injured 5 others. According to police reports, his blood alcohol level was 0.113 when he was arrested. Court documents have stated that Young suffered life-threatening injuries, including severe traumatic brain injury, a parietal fracture, brain contusions, and subdural hematomas. During the court proceedings, Reid pleaded guilty to a felony charge of driving while intoxicated and causing a crash, resulting in a 3-year prison sentence. Next, the impact statement in the court. It's been over a year since the accident, and Young's family has had to deal with the repercussions of what occurred for some time now. It's no easy thing for a victim to address the perpetrator of a crime that took so much away from their lives, but Ariel's mother still submitted an impact statement that was read in court. In it, she described the upsetting details of what the crash has done to her family. Ariel has apparently lost some motor skills, dragging her right foot when she walks. The family has set an appointment with a doctor to discuss leg braces to try to correct that issue, but there's no guarantee that it will work. Coordination is also a problem for Ariel now, having terrible balance according to her mother. But it isn't just her motor skills that have been affected. Ariel has apparently had difficulty processing information, and she might now need to be transferred to a special education class away from her former peers. Then there's the fact that Ariel's eyesight has deteriorated quite a lot since the incident. In concluding her statement, all Ariel's mother said was, "This is our life." It was just 4 words, but they left a lasting impact on all the people present at court that day. There's no changing what happened, and the lives of those around Ariel, including her own, have been forever marred by what's been done by Britt Reid. Coming up, the Chiefs make amends. As evidenced by Ariel's mother's statement, there's not much that can be done to make things better. What's happened to Ariel will stay with her for the rest of her life. However, the Kansas City Chiefs are certainly trying to make it an easier time for the family to adjust to their new reality, as grim as it might be. For one, they've opted not to renew the expiring assistant coach contract of Britt Reid in light of the terrible news. They've also helped pay for Young's medical care, which would have no doubt been great help to the family, considering how expensive things can get. The extent of Ariel's injuries would lead to the family being hard-pressed for the money to pay off the medical bills. The Chiefs were under no obligation to help, since there was really no connection between them and the incident, so it's heartwarming to see the organization step up in this way. Though there are certainly other reasons why the Chiefs might have decided not to keep Reid on the coaching staff. For instance, this isn't the first time that he's gotten himself into trouble with the law. Back in 2007, Reid pled guilty to simple assault and flashing a gun at another driver on the road. He served time for that incident. Then there's the fact that he pled guilty to a separate incident where he was driving under the influence of a controlled substance. So yeah, seems a bit habitual to us. Now for Reid's statement and fan responses. Following his sentencing, Reid addressed the court defending himself. He apologized to the families that he had hurt, but he made a strange statement that might not have had the effect he wanted. The player also said that every time he sees his own daughter, he thinks about Ariel and how his decision to drive while intoxicated had affected her and her family so deeply. Ariel's mother felt like this was not an appropriate response to what had happened, saying that Reid was entitled and out of touch. Apparently, Reid hadn't even apologized to the grieving families involved until October of this year, more than a year after the incident. When the result of the hearing was announced, many fans of the NFL weren't happy about it. They thought that the sentence of 3 years was just a slap on the wrist, and he should be doing a lot more time, effectively ruining a girl's life. One Twitter user said that he didn't get the punishment he deserved before offering their condolences to the families and saying that they hoped Ariel would continue to improve every day. Another fan was even more critical of the situation. They took direct aim at the way the justice system disproportionately sentences individuals, saying that there are way too many occasions where the privileged get off with light sentences. The fact that Britt is the son of Andy Reid is why he didn't get the maximum sentence of 7 years. That should have been the case, given his criminal history. Moving on to Andy Reid's response. Understandably, the conversation about the incident is primarily revolving around the affected families and the perpetrator of the crash himself. But we do need to consider how this awful situation and the legal proceedings resulting from it are affecting those around the main subjects. No one's really talking about how Britt Reid's father, Andy, is dealing with all of this. Being a father is a tough job, and one would necessarily feel responsible for every action taken by their children since they've raised them. Andy Reid was quick to respond to the situation shortly after it occurred, unlike his son. He said that his heart bleeds for everyone involved in the accident, and he specifically mentioned Ariel Young and her family. But apart from that, he didn't offer any more comments on the situation, saying that he couldn't do so. That's likely because he was instructed not to by Britt's legal team. Still, the Chiefs coach took the time to reflect on the incident and sympathize with the grieving families, and that's the most you can ask from him in that situation. Andy Reid had made his statement about the incident following the Chiefs' loss in the Super Bowl, so reporters were wondering if that had an effect on their game. But according to Andy, they had already set the game plan prior to the incident, so it wasn't really a distraction. It was from a human standpoint, not from a football one. Lastly, how the families reacted to the plea deal. When you're the victim of a horrendous incident like this one, you'd obviously want the maximum possible sentence that the law can give the accused. Considering that the maximum sentence for a crime like this is 7 years, and Reid only got 3, it makes sense that the people that were affected aren't happy about things. When it was announced that prosecutors were only seeking a maximum of 4 years as part of a plea deal with Reid, Young's family was less than happy about the whole situation. In a public statement released in September, the attorney for the Young family said that the 5 victims of the crime were outraged. The attorney brought up the fact that Reid is a prior offender, which would normally be cause for a maximum sentence. But local attorneys think differently. They believe the deal is in line with other similar cases and expected the judge to take the recommendation of the 4-year sentence into account. Chris Scott, a defense attorney in Kansas, said that if the prosecutors believe 4 years is fair, then he thinks it ought to be fair. Scott said that he would have been stunned if the court didn't follow the recommendation, as if the judge didn't follow an agreement like this, nothing would actually get done. Legal proceedings like this can get pretty messy. Plea deals are a thing in order to make things a little easier for everyone involved. It may not be exactly what the plaintiffs want, but it put Reid behind bars, so that's something. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Reid should have gotten the maximum sentence of 7 years? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.